I'll start with you, Lav.
Hello. Kumusta?
You've dealt with like different episodes of the history of the Philippines in other films, but you typically approach it through the experiences of regular people, everyday people, and I'm wondering what drew you to the subject of Magellan, a historical figure, which seems like a departure from some of your other work.
Ang kwento ni Magellan, yun ang pinaka dugtong natin sa nakaraang kasaysayan ng bayang Pilipino.
The story of Magellan is our link, the link of Filipinos to our history.
Sorry for the English. Ang kwento ni Magellan, kasama na ng kamalayang Pilipino mula't mula, doon na bago lahat.
The story of Magellan has been the consciousness of Filipinos from the very beginning. That was a turning point in Filipino consciousness.
Bilang isang manggagawa sa kultura sa bayang Pilipino, tingin ko napakahalagang balikan ang kasaysayang ito.
As a cultural worker, I feel that it's so important to get back to this story.
Can you talk about casting Gael? It's an interesting casting choice for this role.
Mula pa sa simula, si Gael na ang pinili namin.
From the very beginning, it was Gael that we chose.
Noong nagsisex kami ni na Joaquim Sapino at saka ni Albert Serra, napag-usapan namin na si Gael lang ang Magellan.
I'm not sure.
When we were having
Can you
sex,
tell me? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. When we were having sex, the producers, Albert Serra, etc. in
Albert Serra and Joaquim Sapino.
Joaquin Sapino in Barcelona, was it? We already talked about Gael.
Somewhere in Europe.
Yes, somewhere in Europe.
Pag-usapin namin na si Gael lang ang pwedeng Magellan.
That was an accurate translation, yes?
That was right. Yeah, I wasn't sure I heard right,
Si Gael
but
lang ang
apparently I
Magellan.
did.
Si Gael lang ang Magellan. Mula sa umpisa, si Gael lang ang pinili namin.
From the very beginning, it was really Gael that we chose.
At kinausap siya ni Albert at saka ni Joaquim, pumayag naman si Gael.
And Albert and Joaquin spoke to Gael, and he said yes.
Kasi sabi niya, okay lang, kasi katulad ko rin si Lav na motherfucker.
And Gael said, it's fine, because like Love, I'm a motherfucker.
Okay, let's hear from...
Isang metapora lang yan.
Just a metaphor.
Yes. Let's hear it from your point of view. Yeah, I'm curious how you responded to being offered the part of this, kind of mythic explorer, colonizer as a Mexican actor.
Yeah. Well, of course, I mean, the concept of Magellan is so, attractive from the beginning, and especially coming from Lav, and then knowing that Joaquim, that Albert Serra were involved as well, and the fact that they were looking at me to play the part, that was intriguing. Why me? No, like why? So I was invited to go to Portugal to meet with Joaquim and Lav, and we met there after having read the biographies of Magellan, because as you might know, Magellan is was always a traitor, in a way, or considered a traitor, a bit on the margins of history, in a way, yet very well perceived and very well sort of appreciated by explorers, by NASA, by, like about everything that happened, and also a very important figure in the history of the Philippines and the moment that the worlds sort of collided. And so I went in with this very open question and very curious thing to understand, and amongst the many things that we talked about, for example, I don't know, is it going to be in Portuguese? Yes. What? Okay, I'm going to have to speak in Portuguese. Okay, and Lav gives you the script every day. So I had to learn every day, like one day before the scenes, and so it was like, okay, it is an amazing and incredible challenge, and the character and everything. But there was something that at the end I really appreciated, and it was the fact that, of course, Magellan and all the people that did this journey were the first ones that started the mestizaje, the mestizo world that is where I come from. Surely my ancestors, as well as being indigenous from America, they were also from Spain, Portugal, I don't know where, I have no idea. And it was very interesting to get to play that part. Because Magellan, all these characters, Francisco Serrao, all these wonderful characters that encountered something in the other side of the world, escaping from the grudge of religion, of the system, the kind of beginning of this empire system, where all of a sudden, there in these places they found certain freedom or a certain something, and there's many interesting characters in history that are there that nobody has done films about them. I mean, this is one where there's Francisco Serrao, no one appears. He was a friend of Magellan who told him, "Come, there's some islands in the north. There's some islands that are here, and you have to get there quick." And then the rest of the story, I leave it to you so that you read the biographies, because it's very complicated and it's very interesting, and the reasons why, and all the politics behind and everything. But I was very intrigued by this aspect immediately, and I thought it was a very cool idea that they were casting a Latin American to do this. They were casting a mestizo to do this. I love it, and I'm very thankful that you did this, because naturally, intrinsically, we bring something, no? And this is what Lav's films also have. There's something there already at play, something there by these decisions. So it's very moving and very interesting, and I was completely in it as soon as we started to have the first wine with Lav. I was like, yeah, man, let's do this. Let's go for this.
In his introduction, Joaquim mentioned that this was many years, 7 years in the making. I imagine there was quite an intensive process of research on your part, Lav, and I'm wondering what did that involve, and how did that process inform your film? Did you learn anything that you didn't already know about Magellan? I assume a lot.
Bilang Pilipino, yung kwentong Magellan, andun na yun eh.
As a Filipino, the story of Magellan is really part of our culture.
Pero habang natututo ako, nagbabasa, naging manunulat ako, naging journalist ako, naging musikero, may mga tanong maraming tanong.
The more I learned, the more I studied, the more I advanced. I became a musician, a writer. questions came up.
At sa isang dialecticang pananaw, ang daming tanong talaga tungkol kay Magellan at sa bahaging yan ng kasaysayan ng Pilipino.
And from a dialectical viewpoint, there really were so many questions, especially concerning the history of the Philippines.
Kaya nung naging interesado na ako sa kasaysayan ni Magellan, nagbasa ako na nagbasa, ang dami kong nakikita na ang daming katanungan kasi ang lakas ng imposisyon ng tinatawag nilang dominant eye ng kanluran ng West.
So when I really got into Magellan, all the questions really came up. And especially, I noticed that there was such a strong imposition of the Western eye on the story.
Napapansin ko sa mga gumawa ng kasaysayan ng Pilipinas, lalo sa bahaging yan, sinusunod na nila yung naratibo ni Pigafetta, naratibo ng mga Amerikano, naratibo ng Europeo.
I noticed that those who follow the story of Magellan, pretty much they just follow the narratives of Pigafetta, the Americans, the Europeans.
So, ang ginawa ko, mas dialectic ang pag-iimbestiga. Babalikan ko, titingnan ko, at gagawan ko ng tamang commitment, tinatawag, para alamin ang mga nangyari.
So what I did was use the dialectical process to go back to the story to find out really what happened.
Binasa ko lahat ng libro na nasulat tungkol sa trajectory ng paglalakbay ng Magellan patungo sa Pilipinas.
I read all the books I could get hold of about the trajectory of Magellan's voyage to the Philippines.
Minsan nagkaroon ako ng tamang panahon. Pumunta ako sa Seville at pumunta ako sa archive ng andun lahat ng tungkol, lahat na nasulat tungkol sa kasaysayan ng naratibo ni Magellan. Nung tinanong ko yung nagbabantay doon, sabi ko, ano mga babasahin ko? Sabi niya, mayroong 15 milyon na nasulat tungkol dyan. Gusto mong babasahin? Andito lahat.
And when I got the chance at the time, I went to Seville and I went to that building where all the accounts were held. And I asked the librarian or the archivist, what should I read? And the archivist said, oh, there are about 15 million accounts there.
50 million pages daw na pahina.
50 million pages.
So ganun ang trabaho ang ginawa ko. Yung nakaraang 7 taon bago kami nag-shoot ng pelikula, hindi lang ako nag-research, nanaliksik. Nag-imbestiga rin ako.
So that's what I did for the 7 years that I was trying to learn more about the story. I did not just research, but also investigation.
At sa modernong panahon, pag ipapasok mo yung genetic genealogy na pag-imbestiga, ang daming tanong sa account ni Pigafetta, sa account ni Di Marfa, sa account ng mga gumawa ng kasaysayan ng Pilipinas.
And in modern times, if you look again at, well, from the genetic point of view, if you look again at the accounts of Pigafetta and the others, there really are so many questions that come up.
Kaya, nung ginawa ko yung pelikula, ang kalaban ko lagi, nung nag-shoot kami ng pelikula, hindi lang ako gumagawa ng script araw-araw, may konfrontasyon din sa paano ako lalapit sa katotohanan.
So when we were doing the story, the challenge was not only to write the script every day, which is my process, but also the challenge of confronting the truth.
Kaya nung ginagawa na yung pelikula, natural lang na ang desisyon bilang manggagawa sa kultura, sa katotohanan kalalapit.
So when we were doing the film, as a cultural worker, the decision is always to go for the truth.
Kaya nga gusto na akong patayin ng mga historian sa Pilipinas ngayon.
That's why the historians of the Philippines all want to kill me now.
Akala nila revisionista yung pananaw ko. Pero ang challenge ko sa kanila, bumalik sila sa kasaysayan, basahin, mag-imbestiga.
They say my point of view is revisionist, but my challenge to them is to go back and investigate.
Kasi ibinuhos ko yung kaluluwa ko, yung buhay ko, muntik ako namatay sa pelikulang ito.
Because I poured my life, my soul to this film, and I almost died literally doing it.
So, kahit sinong nagmamarunong na historiador sa Pilipinas o sino man, pwede kong harapin at mag-usap kami.
So whoever is a know-it-all historian in the Philippines, I can face him or her, and I can challenge him.
Isang bagay na nawala sa kasaysayan, dahil sinusunod nila yung naratibo lagi ng kanluran. Ang ganda nung sinabi ni Dennis kanina sa introduction niya, nalilimutan natin yung mga hindi inilagay sa kasaysayan.
One thing that is kept missing, Dennis really said something beautiful earlier, that there are so many things that are missing in the histories that we usually read.
Yung mga tinatawag na nuance, yung tinatawag na ritmo, yung amoy, laging andun sa ibabaw lang. Facade lang ang lagi sinusulat.
Things like nuance, rhythm, fragrance, odors, they're just all floating above and they don't really get deeper.
At katulad sa mga pangungusap ni Pigafetta, kung babasahin mo, sa pagitan ng mga linya, ang daming nawawala, ang daming mong nakikita.
And when you read the narrative of Pigafetta, in between the lines, you can see that there are so many things missing. And when you see that, you really find out a lot more.
Ang kasaysayan na tanto ko sa 8 taon na pakikibaka ko sa paggawa ng Magellan, ang kasaysayan pala, hindi mo mayayakap kung hindi mo titingnan yung mas maliliit na bagay.
What I learned working on Magellan for all these years, 7, 8 years even, is that you cannot embrace history if you don't embrace the small things.
All I've said is just a euphemism for masturbation, man. No, it's all poetry at least. Yeah. Say it in Tagalog. Yung sinasabi ko na ang kasaysayan, ang hirap titingnan. Bumalik tayo ngayon sa nangyayari sa Gaza, sa nangyayari sa Ukraine. May sinusundang naratibo si Putin na tingin niya katotohanan. may sinusundan ng Hamas na tingin nila katotohanan. May sinusundan si Netanyahu na tingin niya katotohanan. Ang hirap arukin ang kasaysayan sa pananaw na ganon.
What I'm saying is that when you look at history, like what's happening nowadays in Gaza, Ukraine, Putin is following a certain narrative. Hamas is following another narrative. Netanyahu is following another narrative. So it's really a complex matter, the narratives.
Nakakatakot ang pagtingin sa kasaysayan. Ang kalaban mo lagi, katotohanan at kasinungalingan.
It's dreadful to look at history. Your enemy is always lies and evil.
And truth.
And truth.
Yeah, like 3 days ago, 3 araw na nakaraan, may tumawag sa aking kaibigan, email, isang kaibigan na nakatira sa Ukraine. Tinanong siya ng anak niya. Sabi niya, bakit tayo binobomba ng Russia? Sabi ng tatay niya, anak, hindi ko kayang paliwanag sa'yo, pero kailangan mabuhay muna tayo ngayon.
3 days ago, I got an email from a friend in Ukraine. His son was asking, why are the Russians bombing us? He told his son that I can tell you right now, what we just need to do now is to live and to survive.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Gael, maybe I'll turn some of these questions to you, and if you can talk about what research you did for the role, and also to continue, I guess, on what Lav was saying, maybe you can both weigh in on, yeah, just telling this story in this moment, because I feel like even if a film is historical, it addresses the moment in which it's made.
So the first thing I did, and I recommend this a lot, is to enter and to read about Magellan, is the Stefan Zweig biography that he wrote on his journey to Brazil when he was going to move to Brazil. So it's one of his last works, and obviously the research he did it before, but it was post-war, that he wrote this, and it was, I mean, it is an amazing account, very heroic, of course, very kind of, but it is an incredible account of a story of that tries to get to the matter of where does Magellan come from, the context, what happened, and all the political intrigue and all the problems that arise, and also the whole feat of having crossed the Pacific Ocean. Which I read in amongst the many things during the research, is that some explorers argue, and some people that study, the historical feats of humanity in a way, they say that that it is a much more impressive feat to have crossed the Pacific alive for the first time in those conditions than going to the moon, because at least the moon, you know where it is. and the Pacific, they didn't know. I mean, they call it the Pacific because of them. Because once they crossed the strait, which is called after Magellan, they found a very soft sea that didn't move.
Serene.
And that didn't move, and that didn't move for months. And they weren't moving. And they lost so many people during this journey, so many people, and I think that's something that I mean, amongst the many things that, because I read a lot of historical accounts, and sort of revisionist accounts as well, with 500 years of the, and who was claiming, who did the journey around the world, if it was the Spanish or the Portuguese, or like, so they were all into this kind of thing, and the intrigue is incredibly complex, because a lot of the things are documented. We know exactly how much it cost, for example. We know exactly what they got into the ship. There is accounts of exactly the menu of all the things that they kept into the ship. We know the names of all of them, of the vast majority. We know that there were many nationalities there. Well, in those days, maybe it was not nationalities because they were from different regions, Antonio Pegafetta was Genovese, Genovese, I don't know, Genovese. There were a lot of Germans, what would have become Germany afterwards. There were a lot of North Africans, there were a lot of Albanese, and there were a lot of Greeks, and there were a lot of French, and there was someone from England, no? So there were people from all over that joined this, and there was one person that is perhaps the first person to have done a journey around the world, which is Enrique.
Amalay.
Who's the name of is the Christian name of the slave of Fernando de Magallanes. Even in his testament, he writes a lot about Enrique. They wrote testaments, of course, because they knew they were going to die in these journeys, and he wrote a lot about Enrique and what he wanted for Enrique. He wanted his freedom, he wanted this, to give him this and that and that and that, and it's quite interesting to read a testament, because it shows you who this person was, no? I think the first 10 things that he dedicates in his testament are things towards the church. These were very strong believers, very Catholic, very, very, very believing. And this is the thing that I felt and I shared with all the people during the film. I was like, how could you not become a believer if you survived the Pacific? How would you not become incredibly... I understand why Magellan felt all of a sudden completely messianic. Because, having survived that, in those days, there was no answer. There was no logical answer. The only logic answer is that God wanted us here. God wanted us in this place, and made us survive this tremendous journey. So I think that's what I captured whilst doing the film, whilst incarnating, which is a wonderful word that Joaquim, in our conversations, he mentioned, incarnating the character, getting inside the character and understanding something that I have to make a claim and an argument for actors. We sometimes get to understand certain things that other aspects of sociology, journalism, ethnography, history, they don't try quite to understand, because sometimes, you try to adjust all the motivations through psychology or something, like you try to understand what happened, why it happened, but sometimes the answer is incarnating the characters. And whilst incarnating, you find something, and I was very, thinking, okay, yeah, I get what happened in a way in those days. So that was wonderful, I wish I could communicate it better. The only way I can do it is interpreting or incarnating the character, no? So I mean, these were amongst the many things, but also speaking Portuguese, and I don't know, many details I'll throw you, like Spanish and Portuguese, the nowadays Castilian Spanish that us Spanish native speakers speak, and the Portuguese that now is spoken, where they were far much more closer back in those days. So there were certain keys to how to get there, and for those of you who speak Portuguese or Spanish, you could notice that once in the ship, because it was a Spanish kind of crown-sponsored journey. No, they spoke Spanish mainly, but Magallanes spoke Portuñol, which is what all people that speak Spanish and Portuguese speak whenever they try to speak the other language. You know, that's what I thought when I was offered to play this part. I was like, oh, of course, I speak Portuñol. I don't speak Portuguese. I speak Portuñol. You know, I had to make it better. Yes.
All right, it's late,
Yes.
and you've given us an incredible film and a lot to think about. So thank you, Gael.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.